Alright guys, welcome to the Retro Concepts brake install video. 3 tools you're going to need: a drill, flathead, and a Phillips screwdriver of any sort, and a wrench. First things first, pop the hood off here, this bad boy. Second, we're going to want to take the rear seat off. Alright, next thing you want to do is you want to take this top cover off. That allows you to have better access to the floorboard. Alright, up front we got 4 screws. Alright, and back here we have 2 bad boys. On this Corvette, you're going to want to flip it on its side so you can get rid of that little screw there so the front steering wheel comes off. As you can see, bone stock. You're going to want to tilt the wheels to the left. That allows it to pivot. Now you just pop the screw off, pop this off. The steering wheel comes off. Now you can take a flathead, pop the cover off. You're going to want to remove those 2 screws there that holds the steering wheel on. Alright, once you loosen the steering wheel, you're going to want to pull it up and forward. That should release this pin here. And your steering wheel pop right off. Now with the steering wheel removed, you can now take this top cover off. Now if your kit comes with one of our throttle pedals, this is easy. Just pop this bad boy off. It's only clipped on here. There's a small clip connected behind it. Make sure you unplug that. For those of you who don't know, this is as simple as just unscrewing this little guy here. Alright. Out with the old and in with the new. Check out our replacement throttle pedals. This one's custom, obviously. What I do is just loop in there, pop it back in there, and then just align the screw. Back piece there. Take this little guy out. There we go. Fully functional. We also sell extensions. So if you need a 2-inch, 1.5, 1 inch, or if you just want a stock replacement pedal, send us a DM and we'll hook you right up. Once you receive your kit, you're gonna get a brake pedal with all the mounting hardware and brake cables already cut to length based off of your chassis. You're gonna get a caliper and a caliper bracket so you can mount directly to the gearbox. You get 2 of those, the left and the right. Doesn't matter which way you mount them, and a drill template. This drill template you will get in a matching color, but obviously for demonstration purposes, this one is neon. All right, once you're ready to drill your holes, you're gonna take a template, you're gonna match it up, line it up to the middle. Now, always keep in mind that varying depending on chassis, you might have to either slide it over to the left or to the right. You just wanna check behind here to make sure it's not gonna interfere with anything. And line the bottom up. That's gonna make sure that it allows you to have proper braking distance. Choose that middle point on there. I recommend putting a little bit of tape. Bottom just to kind of hold the template in place. You can use a marker of any sort to mark out the holes and then go ahead and drill. You're gonna need a 1/4 drill bit for all these 4 and a 5/16 for both of these 2 in the middle where your cables run through. On the Corvette, your shorter cable is going to go on the right passenger side, and for the McQueens, they're actually both the same. Alright, and then once you push your cables on through, you want to wiggle it in there, and then push everything on through. As you can see, bracket fits perfect, holes align perfectly, and pedal has full travel. Okay. So now we just run the nuts that come with the kit on the back side to tighten this up. The bottom of your vehicle should look like this. Then you can just run Cables there. Now, time to rock cables. All right, let's head to the back area. Once you go ahead and pop this guy off, you're able to pop the wheel off, and you're also able to pop the hub off. All right, next thing you want to do is unbolt your gearbox. Now keep these screws handy because you will be reusing them. Once your bolts are unscrewed, you're going to want to take your caliper bracket and line it up in here. Perfect fitment. All right. Snug. Make sure you push it all the way in. These rings should basically be flush with each other. All right, and then you see this little nab here. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna rotate this over, and you're gonna hear it, you're gonna feel it click that. Once you do that, all the holes here will be lined up. All right, once back it's in place, now all we need to do is bolt it back in. Or screws, I should say. Once bracket's in, as you can see, it is not going anywhere. Everything's nice and flush. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna unbolt the caliper. Once bracket's in place, you're gonna wanna slide your hubs in. Make sure they connect. All right, hubs are in. How awesome does that look? This is what it looks like under the car. As you can see, still free movement. All right, then you want to take your driver's side cable. Basically, it's going to run along this very edge here, under this little bracket here. And then you can either do it into this middle or the top fin, whichever you like the best. And then from there, it's going to route up, over, and into the caliper itself up in here. Once your cable line is ran through the bottom and into here, you're gonna want to unbolt the caliper. Previously I said bolted, but you can leave it unbolted. You're gonna want to unscrew this adjustment piece here until the threads are basically flush with this flat piece here. So once the threads are there, you're gonna want to push the tube thing into here, pull this cable out as much as possible. Make sure on the other side that it's right up against that bracket. There's no play. Next, what you want to do is you're going to actually put it up against the brake disc. You're going to make sure this cable, like I said, has all the tension relieved out of it. Then you're going to want to actually clamp it down so where the cable and everything is basically squeezing that as tight as possible. And then you're just going to screw it in. Make sure this is nice and tight. All right, so as you can see, now my caliper is very, 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 very close. It's a little snug. You can hear it kind of rubbing a little bit. So then what you do is screw this all the way back in. And then now you know when this is bolted in, that when you fully take this out, you know that this will be nice and tight on here. And this is without even pressing the pedal. So if we line it here, now it's nice and smooth. There's no resistance on there because we backed the line out. So when you're out racing, if you need to make this tighter, now you know you can just slowly pull this out and you'll be at the correct measurement. Once everything is nice and tight, line is all nice and secure. Basically, you're just gonna bolt it back there and there loosely. Next part might require a little bit of help. What you're gonna do is you're gonna press the brake pedal to fully squeeze that caliper and basically align this to the middle of the caliper here. And then once that's basically being pressed, you're gonna go ahead and want to fully secure the caliper. All right, and then that way when you let go, well, the caliper is centered on the disc, and then now you know there's no bind. The pedal is nice and soft. If you do have a stiff pedal, it has something to do with how the way the cable line was ran. Once you've drilled your holes, your line should be a little bit like this, at least in the Corvette. Your straight line is gonna come here, it's gonna wrap around, and it's gonna connect into the caliper here, and then the other line is gonna come through here, up and over, and into that caliper. All right, the other thing you could do is drill 2 little holes here, and then run zip tie there as well, like we did along the bottom. So once you snip that, you're all good to go. And the only thing that might be required afterwards is a little bit of just fine tuning the brake caliper on here. If you're not achieving optimal brake distances, or you wanted to just maybe grab a little bit more, as before, you could unscrew this little guy here, or you can also tighten this guy, and that'll help bring the pad down a little bit. If you're having a stiff pedal, that means that the lines here is their angle is a little bit too tight, so as you want to have a little bit of slack in here to allow the cable to kind of create a nice smooth, you kind of basically want it to flow, so there's less resistance on there. And once you have it all set up, it should look a little bit like this. And then once you press that brake pedal, you should see both calipers actuate. Drill bit size for all of these little holes in order to run zip ties through is a 5/32. That's gonna create a small enough hole where it's not really gonna be too noticeable. Now, once your car is complete, just reinstall the steering wheel linkage back in there, so you can put the steering wheel back on, the top cover, and bolt everything back in place, and you're all ready to rock.